back to another session of the Neota network. This time we're actually going to hear from someone else within Neota Logic. So I'd like to introduce Dominique Simpson, who's the Director of Consulting and Solutions in our Asia Pacific region office. And Dom is also a master of the platform itself and a master builder. Today, Dom's actually going to walk us through a little bit of document automation. So speak to us about how you can transform and transfer the precedents that you might have into to contracts and into digital solutions. Something we've heard a lot about, especially as things have moved digital, given the global crisis and the remote work environment. So I'll leave the rest to Dom to explain. So over to you, Dom.
Thanks, Max. We will get stuck right into it, as in our 10 minutes today, I'm hoping to lift the lid on the process behind taking a precedent document and turning it into an automated online solution by doing it live in 10 minutes. So we are going to be focusing on the document automation capability of the Neota Logic platform, which is just one slice of the pie. So it's just this slice here on the left. And the good news is once you've automated your document, you can still leverage the other slices. For example, by adding in some process automation to negotiate your document, or by adding in expertise automation to use logic to determine the most appropriate document for your user amongst a suite of documents, for example. So what can you automate? I've listed out some example documents, but these were mostly just a list of document types that came to mind because the reality is there is no restriction on the content of your document. It can be a short one-page precedent or a 200-page precedent with lots and lots of that good old yellow highlighting and comments littered throughout. So what we want to do with those comments and highlighting is take it from something that requires lots of interpretation and a lot of manual work to a solution that generates consistent documents that include the right language and clauses and generated through a guided interview that you can access online from wherever you are at whatever hour of the day that you want to access it. And today what I want to do is take the lid off the black box on how these documents get automated. Focusing particularly on number 2 here. So before automating your document, you want to get that first step, you're getting your precedent into shape. So get the word styling as you want it and get clear on when you want words, clauses, schedules, and so on to be included or excluded based on logic. Then without leaving the familiar environment of Word, we get into the markup process with the Neota Logic toolbar. And then finally, you import it into our studio and make any additional changes that you want. And of course, don't forget to test. So we are going to open up a template that I've got. So this is a template document. It's got all the markup done. There's a couple of fields that we want to automate. And I'm just going to walk through the process of how you would mark this document up. So the first thing is you need to have the Neota Logic toolbar installed. So if we head over there, we've got a few different options in our menu. And today we are going to focus on variable and condition, which are the two that get most used. So what we do with the variable is it replaces the field in your document with the field that the user's provided a response for, or that logic has set a response for. But in this case, we've got employee full name. So our user is generating the document and they're going to type in the employee's full name. And we want that to be inserted here. So we're just going to highlight that, go to variable and click new. And this is where we set the details up around that question. So what is the question text that we want to actually ask our user? Let's just say employee full name to keep it simple. And then we're choosing what form it appears on. So this is the web page that it ends up appearing on. I'm just going to give it a name like employee details. Then one extra little bit here is this replace all occurrences. So we've got employee full name used in another spot in the document. By ticking this, it will go through the document, searching for all of the places where you've mentioned employee full name and automatically replace them for you. So you don't have to do this lots and lots of times. It just goes and finds them all for you. So we'll hit OK there. And you can see it's replaced it with a field there, and down the bottom of our document, this has also been replaced. So that used to say employee full name and now has been replaced. All right, so that's that field done. Next field up is employment type. So if we highlight that one and we go to variable and click new again, this is going to be employment type. And we're just going to ask employment type and let the user enter in the response, or we could actually have options. So that had full-time, part-time. So actually let's grab a list. So we're basically saying that the user can pick from a list for the options here, and we just need to type in the options that they have. So part-time and full-time. We're just going to pick the same page as we used last time. So this just means it'll be on the same page as the other question. So hit OK, and that adds it into the document. And then we've got commencement date. So we'll highlight that, variable, new, same thing, commencement date. What's the question text we want to ask? Let's just pop in commencement date. And this time we're going to pick, instead of a list, we're going to let the user put in a date. So you're just picking a date from a date picker for the commencement date. And again, we're going to pop it on the same form so that all our questions are housed together. And then hit OK, and that adds it in. And last one we've got here is hourly rate. So same thing again, probably sensing a pattern here, variable, new, and we're giving it a name. And what are we actually asking our user? We're just going to say hourly rate, seems simple. And instead of letting them enter in text, we want to let them enter in a currency, so an amount. So we pick that from the list, and we're just going to drop it on the same page again and hit OK. So that is our variables done. The other thing that I just want to show quickly is our conditions. So this is how you decide whether to include something or not, which could be as little as a letter to a word, sentence, clause, a whole section of a document that you can take out of your document if you want to, or add into your document. So we've got this clause here highlighted in green for bonus. So I'm just going to wrap around that and go condition, new. And this is going to be our bonus condition. And we're basically saying, if the user, we'll just ask the user, do you want to include a bonus clause or not? So we need to add a new question. So we have new variable, and we'll call this bonus. And the question will be, would you like to include a bonus clause? And you could even have like a sample of the clause appearing next to that question, that sort of thing. And that's going to be yes, no question. So you're either saying, yes, I want to include it, or no, I don't. And we'll just drop it on the same form with everything else. This bit is where you set up the logic. So when do you include it and when do you not include it? And for this one, it's fairly straightforward. If the user says include the bonus clause, so bonus equals yes, then include the bonus clause. So that's what this is doing for us. So we've got that, that condition wrapped around there. But as your document generates from the application, so you've answered all your question and it generates your documents, the document will use exactly word formatting. So we don't want it to be green. So we're just going to get rid of that green highlighting because it will generate exactly how you've got it in Word. And then we also want to get rid of these brackets for the same reason. All right, we will give that document a save because that is now all marked up. I'll just get out of that and we'll head on now. So we're at that step 3. We are importing it into our Neota Logic Studio. So we've got a blank application at the moment, and what we want to do is pull in our document, and it essentially will automatically generate all of the kind of logic and fields that you need as you've created them in the document. So we go application and then import from Word document. Pick our Word document, and this has just pulled up all of the fields that we just created. So we'll just hit OK, so it just auto creates that all in our application. So you'll see it's all just loaded here on the left. Give it a save and give it a run. So that testing part. So we'll see what it looks like. So we've got our questions here. So that's a good start. And we've got employee full name. So let's give it a test. Polly is our employee. We can say they're full-time, picking a commencement date, hourly rate, and do we want to include the bonus clause? So let's say no for this one and go next, and we should have our document generated for us. So here's our document and let's open it up. All right, so we now have our fully automated document, and you can see the fields that we typed in are now appearing in the end document. So we've got Paula Polly appearing, full-time, the date. You can always change the formatting of the date if you want to, and we've got our hourly rate. Then if we scroll down, we can no longer see the bonus clause. So it's just disappeared. I think it was between competition and benefits from memory, but it is now no longer in the document. And importantly, the auto numbering has renumbered. So you don't get this awkward sort of skip over a clause that's been removed. It will just automatically renumber for you. All right. So that was a super speed run through that hopefully lifted the little bit on the black box of taking a precedent document through to an automated contract. And obviously that was a relatively small document, but essentially the same concept can be applied to much, much larger documents. You just have more fields and more conditions. And then you can always take your document automation solution further by adding it in. So you can add in workflow components such as negotiating your document with other parties, signing it online, or you could integrate it with other systems. So you could, for example, have it pulling in details from an internal system to pre-populate, say that employment agreement letter. You could have it pre-populating with users' names and that sort of thing. And then finally, you can also gain insights in an instant into the data that you collect. So you could, for example, analyze how many times across hundreds of generated employment letter agreements is a bonus clause included in the contract, for example. All right, so that is all for today's session, but feel free to reach out to me to discuss any questions that you've had from the presentation, or you can always get in touch with your local Neota Logic customer success team. Thank you all for listening.
Very much, Dom. That was fantastic. And I think what you'll find to our listeners is that you know, the document automation capabilities have really come a long way in the past 18 months, especially in the past year, especially taking into consideration, like mentioned earlier, that you know, more and more of what was in paper and done in person is moving to the digital space. So these are the types of tools that you can leverage in order to do that. So thank you very much, Dom, for the insightful presentation, and thank you to everyone who's joined us. Hopefully we'll see you at the next Neota Network presentation. Lots more to come over the rest of today and the rest of the 2 days to come. So thank you again, and look forward to seeing you at the next presentation.